So if 70% of the people support it, why didn't we get a vote on it?
Probably because there was progressive justices in the Supreme Court that wanted to enact it a decade or two before the people were ready for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the thing is what should happen is that there should be a vote on that at the state level. There's actually no right to be married at all. There's no right to marriage. So what I'm asking you is understanding the negative cultural impact that it's had for Christians, knowing that this is traditionally a Christian nation, and that's definitely been what has pushed the family unit. Don't you think that that's negatively impacted society in maybe ways we don't really even understand?
Maybe, but okay. So as a secular person, I'd be very curious for your perspective on like what has caused. So for instance, you kind of conceded that there's like a 70, or I think you stated that there's a 70% approval in American society in general for like homosexuality, homosexual marriage.
Yeah, this is just according to the polling data. That's correct.
Okay, so if 70% of the population, like let's say that we were so I'll concede that historically, especially when the United States was founded, a majority of its founding members were Christian, and that the basically like the First Amendment specifically when it came to religion, the reason why they had that like that clause that said that we're not going to make any rules about religion, it's because they didn't want different sects of Christianity killing the shit out of each other.
That's correct.
They probably didn't plan on having, Muslims, Jews, atheists, agnostics,
well, there weren't any.
Everybody.
There
exactly.
basically weren't any, yeah.
Right. So, but there was also some secular founders, like for instance, I think Thomas Jefferson wrote, what was it? Is like the
Jeffersonian Bible.
Yeah. So it was kind of like removing some of it. And then I also know that there were some founders that were kind of like...
deists.
Yeah, deists. And I would actually consider myself a deist, by the way. So basically when it comes to that, what I would say is I could see how it negatively hurt Christians, but then I would be curious if 70% of people support it and we're in like a democratic republic, what mechanism do you see to like hold culture in... That's forward.
That's a question actually I can turn back around on you. So if 70% of the people support it, why didn't we get a vote on it?
Probably because there was progressive justices in the Supreme Court that wanted to enact it a decade or two before the people were ready for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the thing is what should happen is that there should be a vote on that at the state level. There's actually no right to be married at all. There's no right to marriage. This is not a right that's enshrined in any constitutional amendment that I'm aware of. The way that the Supreme Court kind of decided on this was they applied it to civil rights. Civil rights were never tailored towards sexual orientation either. So the question again becomes, if this was something that the people at Pew Research, who are the same people who went ahead and produced this 70 to 73% acceptance. The polls vary, but it's roughly right in that area according to, these different polls. If that's true, then why is it that we never got a vote? And in many areas, by the way, where the poll showed that gay marriage would pass, it was actually voted down. And this is
I was actually, sorry for interrupting, but I was in California in like 2010, and it almost seemed like a guaranteed thing that gay marriage was going to pass, and then it didn't.
Yeah, blacks were actually the offset for that. Contrary to popular opinion, most black people are fairly conservative, especially when it comes to social morality. So again, if you wanted to call it something other than gay marriage, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Or if you wanted to call it something other than marriage, I wouldn't have a problem with that. My problem comes in when A, the people didn't get a vote on it, and B, the amount of damage that is done. We've already agreed that there's at least some damage that's been done to the core structure of society when it comes to at least the Christians, who for sure were kind of the lifeblood, coming since our founding, right? And kind of agree to those kind of general terms here, or do you take issue with what I'm saying there?
I mean, there was a lot of like detailed statements in there, but what I could say is that I'll try to summarize my understanding. I can understand how Christians, certain sects of Christianity would be offended by marriage being used for, gay monogamous unions. I could understand how basically if you were a religious person, you could view the secular backslide and basically like the promotion of the LGBTQ folks as kind of negative. And then I could also view how if you looked at the past like century of like marriage, divorce, and demographic data, and if you really valued the family, then how you could see a whole bunch of super negative shit that you were not in favor of. I can say that. Like, I mean, like divorce. Pretty sure divorce has, like it's actually stabilized in the past couple of years, if I understand the stats correctly. But basically,
stabilized negatively. But yes.
But if you want to have a strong foundation, you have to start somewhere, right? So
yes, but no fault. That was caused by no fault divorce.
Right, and then if we're talking from like a feminist lens or whatever, they would have their defense of the no-fault divorce and say like a whole bunch of people were trapped in marriages that they absolutely hated and it was outdated institution and all that kind of stuff.
I get it.
Actually,
can I ask